What's up?
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good.
So, you say that there's only one church, right?
Yeah, that's what the Bible teaches.
Okay, I agree. So, um, if you go to Philippians 4:3, right? Paul lists a few of his co-workers in that verse, of which one of them, his name is Clement. Historically speaking, Clement was the fourth pope of the Catholic Church, and if you agree that there's only one church, and the fourth pope was a co-worker of Paul, wouldn't you therefore agree that the one church that Christ started was the Catholic Church?
No, Second Peter chapter 2, verse 1 and 2, they were warned that false teachers would arise even from the midst of the first century church. And Paul told the Ephesian elders that from themselves would arise false teachers. So
Paul says,
do you think that it's impossible for first century Christians to turn away from the truth and deceive a large amount of people?
of course not, but I'm saying that Clement wasn't one of them because Paul says that Clement's name is written in the book of life in
So
Philippians
you
4.
think it's impossible for Clement, his name to be blotted out of the book of life?
I don't think it was impossible. I'm saying it wasn't. Given that historically, Clement's writings was read in the church service in the early
So
centuries.
do you think it was impossible for Clement to start teaching false teachings?
I'm not saying it was impossible. I'm just saying it didn't happen
How do you know that?
because, like I said, Clement's writings, they were read in the church liturgies in the early centuries. But that's not the point. The point was like not only Clement, who was the fourth pope, Linus, who was the second pope. If you read Second Timothy 4:21, he's also listed as one of Paul's co-workers. So if the second and fourth pope of the Catholic Church were co-workers of Paul the Apostle, and there was one church, wouldn't that further make the Catholic Church that one church that Christ established?
No.
I don't think so.
Here's the end conclusion. So if I say yes, so is your end goal, like your hope for me to convert to Catholicism and start teaching babies need to be baptized and that bishops should be unmarried and that I
Um,
should subject myself to the Pope? Is that like the end? Is that your hope for me?
I'm sure. I said W and hope for everybody. Yeah,
But your hope for me is to start baptizing babies or to teach and believe that they should be baptized and also to believe that bishops should be unmarried.
yeah. Paul actually teaches that it'll be better for one to be unmarried like him.
Right, but bishops, Paul taught that bishops, a requirement to be a bishop is to be married in First Timothy chapter 3, verse
No,
2.
you're referring to the verse where it says, husband of one wife, right? Is that the
Yep.
verse you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Present
So
tense.
notice how it says husband of one wife, not
Present
husband of
tense.
a wife.
Present tense.
What do you mean present tense?
Like how he said a bishop must be blameless. That's not saying, well, he doesn't have to be blameless now, just sometime in his past. It's present tense. He must be blameless, present tense. He must be a husband of one wife, present tense. He must be apt to teach, present tense.
No, present tense. That wasn't how the early church took that verse.
Definitely was.
It wasn't. Even
So
some
if it said,
non-Catholics
so
didn't want to teach
can
that.
you be an elder and not be able to teach present tense?
What do you mean?
A bishop. Can you be a bishop? Because it says one of the requirements to be a bishop is that you're apt to teach. Can you be a bishop and not be apt to teach in the present tense?
I won't say so. No, no.
So it has to be in the present tense, apt to teach,
Yeah, yeah. But in
but it
regards
doesn't
to
have to
the
be in the
one wife,
present tense to be a husband of one wife.
yeah, it was referring to that you weren't allowed to be a bishop if you had multiple marriages prior to being the bishop. That was the early interpretation of the verse.
So it's a requirement to be the husband of one wife, present tense.
No, I just said that wasn't the historical interpretation of that verse. That's like a modern interpretation of it.
No, you just said that you cannot be the husband of multiple wives. It says you have to be the husband of one wife. which
Yeah,
is
meaning
present tense.
meaning if you wanted to be a bishop, you couldn't have had more than one marriage.
Right, you have to have one.
Yeah, you have to have either one or less marriages. But that's not a requirement
One or
to be
less. Where are you
married.
getting less?
Yeah, like Paul says, he says that it was better for one to be unmarried. That's why
But you
that
could be
verse.
you can be a Christian and be unmarried, but you can't be a bishop and be unmarried. Where'd you get where
Yes, you
Paul said
can.
you have to be the
Yeah,
husband of one wife that he isn't saying less than one wife?
yeah, that wasn't a requirement. It was saying that you
It's a
have to
commandment
have. No, it's not. It's not. It's not the requirement. That's you're
to be a bishop.
misinterpreting the verse.
No,
Yes, to
you
be a
just
bishop.
didn't you just say a requirement to be a bishop was that you are present tense apt to teach?
Yes, present tense apt to teach, not
But why
present
is it not
tense
present
husband and
tense
wife.
husband of one wife?
Because
It's a comma separating it.
that was not the historical interpretation of the verse. You're making a modern interpretation of